Toronto Blue Jays are Canada's team, a franchise that captured World Series glory in the 1990s and remains one of Major League Baseball's most valuable brands. Yet their home, the Rogers Centre, tells a complicated story. Once hailed as the future of stadium design, today it feels outdated, awkward, and restrictive. Fans, players, and even analysts wonder, are the Jays thriving, or are they trapped in a stadium built for another era? This is the story of baseball's Canadian paradox. When the Rogers Centre, then called the Sky Dome, opened in 1989, it was revolutionary. The world's first stadium with a fully retractable roof, it cost a staggering $570 million, about $1.3 billion today. The timing was perfect. The Blue Jays were rising, regularly drawing over 3 million fans per season, the first MLB team ever to do so. By 1991, they led the league in attendance. The Sky Dome wasn't just a baseball park. It was part mall, part hotel, part entertainment complex. A 348-room Marriott hotel overlooked the field, with windows directly facing the game. Restaurants, shops, and a roof that could open or close in 20 minutes made it feel like science fiction. Toronto was declaring itself a world city. The Jays weren't just tenants, they were the centerpiece of Canada's sporting ambition. At the time, no one thought they might one day feel trapped inside their own palace. The Jays' peak coincided perfectly with the Sky Dome's early life. In 1992 and 1993, Toronto won back-to-back World Series, becoming the first non-American team to claim MLB's biggest prize. Attendance soared. In 1993, the Jays drew 4,057,947 fans, still the third highest in MLB history. The Sky Dome seemed like a money machine, with sellout crowds and national TV ratings that turned Joe Carter, Roberto Alomar, and Paul Molitor into household names. But there was a hidden problem. Unlike Camden Yards in Baltimore, which opened in 1992 with a retro classic baseball feel, the Sky Dome was designed as a multi-purpose mega-complex. That meant wide foul territory, upper decks far from the field, and a concrete-heavy design that didn't age gracefully. At the time, no one cared. Winning covers flaws. But when the Jays fell into 2 decades of mediocrity after 1993, suddenly the Dome started to feel more like a burden than a jewel. After 1993, the Jays didn't make the playoffs for 21 straight years. Meanwhile, MLB underwent a stadium revolution. Cities like San Francisco, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Seattle opened new, baseball-first ballparks with intimate sightlines and downtown charm. The Sky Dome, by contrast, felt sterile. Its upper deck was a wasteland of empty seats. Attendance plummeted from 4 million in 1993 to under 1.5 million per year in the early 2000s. Ownership didn't help. The team was sold to Rogers Communications in 2000 for $165 million. A bargain, but one that reflected how far the franchise had fallen. Rogers rebranded the stadium as the Rogers Centre in 2005, but the name never stuck emotionally with fans. To many, it would always be the Dome. While teams in retro parks built strong local fan cultures, the Jays looked stuck, too Canadian for some Americans, too American for some Canadians, and trapped in a cold, cavernous dome that rarely filled. Despite complaints, the Rogers Centre remains one of MLB's more valuable assets. The Jays don't pay rent. They own the stadium outright through Rogers. That gives them full control of revenues from tickets, concessions, and events. Financially, that's huge. The Rogers Centre is one of the most used stadiums in North America, hosting concerts, CFL games, and more. In 2023, Forbes valued the Blue Jays at $2.1 billion, making them one of MLB's top 15 most valuable franchises. But there's a catch. Owning also means paying for upgrades. Rogers has invested over $300 million in renovations, modernizing concourses, bullpens, and outfield seating. These upgrades brought fans closer to the action and added social spaces, but they couldn't change the fundamental design. It's still a 1980s multi-purpose dome. The question is simple. Does financial ownership outweigh the limitations of being stuck in an outdated structure? Ask a fan and you'll hear the same critiques. The Rogers Centre doesn't feel like real baseball. Upper decks are far away, creating a disconnect. Acoustics echo, making chants fade. The retractable roof, while iconic, gives the stadium a warehouse vibe when closed. Compare that to Fenway Park's intimacy or Oracle Park's views of the San Francisco Bay, and Toronto feels artificial. Attendance reflects this. The Jays still rank well, 2.6 million fans in 2023, but their per-game average, 31,066, is middle of the pack for a franchise that represents an entire country. Contrast that with the 2015 to 2016 playoff runs. When the team was winning, the Dome came alive, with 50,000 plus fans roaring as Jose Bautista hit his legendary bat flip home run. The Rogers Center can create an incredible atmosphere, but only when packed. For regular games, it often feels half empty, even if 25,000 fans are there. Rogers finally addressed criticisms with a sweeping $300 million renovation plan. Phase 1, 2023, reimagined the outfield, removing thousands of dead zone seats and replacing them with bars, patios, and standing room areas. Bullpens were moved closer to fans, creating interaction opportunities. Phase 2, 2024, targeted player facilities, adding modern training rooms and redesigned clubhouses. The goal wasn't to rebuild, it was to refresh. Rogers insists the Dome can last another 10 to 20 years with these upgrades, but critics argue it's lipstick on a concrete pig. The Dome can't replicate the intimacy of Camden Yards or the charm of Fenway. It will always feel like a product of the late 80s, big, bold, but cold. Another shadow hangs over the Blue Jays: MLB expansion and relocation. Cities like Montreal, Nashville, and Portland are pushing for teams. Montreal, in particular, dreams of reviving the Expos. If MLB expands to 32 teams, divisions will realign. Suddenly, Toronto could be geographically isolated again, stuck as the only Canadian team. Some speculate that Rogers might eventually build a new downtown ballpark, but land prices in Toronto are astronomical. The estimated cost of a new stadium? At least $2 billion. That leaves the Jays in a bind. The Rogers Center is functional, owned, and profitable, but it's also outdated, limiting their brand growth. Moving would be massively expensive. Staying means accepting second-tier fan experience. Unlike American franchises, the Blue Jays carry an entire nation. Their TV audience spans coast to coast, with millions watching on Sportsnet. In 2016, playoff games drew 5.12 million Canadian viewers per game, rivaling hockey. But culturally, the Rogers Center doesn't feel Canadian. Built in the corporate boom of the late 1980s, it looks like an American megadome. Fans often complain that it lacks the character of smaller, quirkier Canadian arenas in hockey. This matters. The Jays aren't just fighting for wins, they're fighting to be embraced as a national symbol. When Montreal lost the Expos in 2004, it left the Jays alone. Rogers Center is their castle, but it doesn't always feel like home. From a corporate standpoint, the Jays aren't trapped, they're stable. Owning the stadium means no rent. Renovations extend its life cheaply compared to new builds. With Canada's strong economy and Toronto's growing population, attendance can grow if the team wins. So, are the Blue Jays trapped in Rogers Center? Yes and no. They're trapped in the sense that the stadium locks them into a late 80s vision of sports. Big, corporate, and concrete-heavy. Compared to rivals, it will never be iconic. But they're also free in ways others aren't. They own their home. They control revenues. With renovations, they can modernize enough to keep fans engaged. The truth is, the Jays are stuck in the middle, too successful to leave, too limited to thrive fully. The Rogers Center is both their cage and their safety net. The Rogers Center was built as a dream, became a legend, then turned into a burden. For the Jays, it's a paradox. The very building that gave them glory also keeps them from fully joining baseball's modern elite. The question isn't whether they're trapped, it's how long they can keep pretending they're not.